You watch 100 Mile Drive, and today I have 2023 Hyundai Ioniq 6 rear-wheel drive long range that has a 77 kilowatt battery with 225 horsepower. And the biggest question I have, does this Ioniq 6 drive better than Tesla Model 3, its direct competitor? Because let's face it, let's be honest, this car was created to compete with Tesla Model 3. Let's find out. I'm going to make two videos on this car. In video number one, I'm going to drive it on city streets and highway and reference Tesla Model 3. In fact, I'm going to reference BMW i4 so you get the clear picture. And in video number two, I'm going to take you to twisty roads and see, does it have those handling capabilities to compete with Tesla Model 3? And now a quick walk around of this 2023 Hyundai Ioniq 6 finish in this beautiful red color. I think the front looks fantastic. I really love how the front looks. Something fresh, something new that we've been waiting for. Now this has an active vent that opens up for the cooling. And as you know, this car has a lot of pixels throughout the exterior and the interior. These little cool pixels that you're gonna see literally everywhere. Here, even the mirror caps like right here. So you're really gonna see them everywhere. And I think it's a very cool design element. And coming on the side, now this is an SEL trim, top of the line for rear wheel drive model. Well, actually there's a limited as well. So that includes the panoramic roof and a few other options. Now this car came with 20-inch wheels that I think look pretty gorgeous, and this rides on 245 40 R20, so they're a little wider than the Tesla Model 3 that has a 235s. And this rides on Pirelli tires, meaning it offers performance and comfort. Now on the side, it looks pretty good. Actually, I kind of like it. Definitely works well for this car. The questions I have is for the rear. Now to me, it looks like Hyundai took like 10 designers, put them in the room, gave them a task to come up with this very cool looking rear for the car, and all 10 of them came up with some ideas. Hyundai liked all of them, and then they combined them and came up with this kind of like a designer soup that includes all these ideas, like look, for this bumper, for all these pixels, and you know, Ioniq 6, the logo, and then all these like a, you know, wing kind of elements, and I mean, you name it. I mean, there's so many things here in the back that, to be honest with you, it does look like a fine craftsmanship, but I'm not sure if I love this. Like, I'm not sure if this is the best looking rear of the car I've ever seen. So let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm really curious to see what you guys have to say about this. But overall, it does look nice. It does look fresh. It does look like it has a lot of cool elements. Now let's quickly look at the door sound check. Now, as you see, it's already popped up here. It's ready to be opened. All right. Now, I should compare it to what the Tesla Model 3 door sound check looks like. And now a quick door sound check. It looks kind of average to me. It feels slightly heavy. Well, it's not too bad. It's a heavy door. It doesn't sound as good as like some of the European doors, but overall it's not bad. So the door sound check passed. Let's get on the inside. And now getting on the inside, I mean, I just want to show you this door, how many design elements it has. I mean, look at this door. This is all plastic, hard plastic, but very nicely molded. I can't say that these are super high quality materials, but they are very well molded. Like I said, very cool design elements. Here's a speaker, and there's some little metal parts. There's a lower panel. I put my Starbucks sandwiches this morning. Now I think you can easily leave scratches on this door. You can probably see here. So you gotta be kind of careful with this interior. Like I said, it's not a super high quality, but certainly very nicely molded. Now let's go ahead and start it. Very nice screens. Now very cool leather wrap steering wheel. It feels pretty well. Now if you didn't know, I believe this says H in the Morse code from what I heard. Now let's see, this is a hard plastic but good quality overall. This is a softer kind of pixeled perforated kind of material, a little softer but still kind of on the harder side. More plastic elements here, plastic, but again very well molded. And I love all the cabby spaces here. You can put stuff here, my bottle. Look at this, more pixels here for the wireless charging. When you put your phone, it just lights up. More spaces there, so there's a lot of things you can put in this car. And overall, it's, like I said, not super high quality materials, but they're very well molded. I think this will last for long. Yeah, nothing creaks. I mean, I've been driving this car already for pretty much second day, and I'm loving it. Now the seats are very well cushioned. These are softer seats. They hold you in place pretty well. This trim, I believe, does not have ventilated cooled seats, but in the limited trim it should be there. Like more pixels here, this cool looking headrest. Everything has some kind of a design element. Now this one has some issue here. You hear some loose pieces are inside this panel, but that's something that can be resolved by Hyundai. All right, this is it. Now let's go ahead and drive it. And guys, if you are watching 100 Mile Drive for the first time, well, this is the channel where I say before you buy a car like this or any other car, you first need to rent it from places like Turo for a day and drive it for at least 50 to 100 miles on city streets, highway, and hopefully twisty roads to be able to answer the biggest question I'm answering on this channel: how does it feel to drive? So if you really want to see those real world dynamic drive reviews, subscribe to this channel and let's head out. And first I'm gonna drive Hyundai Ioniq 6 in the city. So I'm gonna put the car in a sport mode. There's a button here. I'm gonna keep a regen high. When you set it to max, it says I pedal on. We're gonna go to D and let's go for it. Let's see. And it's pretty adequate, you know. One thing, this car has claimed 0 to 60 around 6.2 seconds. Actually, it depends who you read, like what magazine. Car and Driver said 6.2. I've seen 7.2. In my opinion, it's about 6.4, 6.5. But it's pretty adequate. Let me tell you this. I mean, for this car, it's fairly adequate. So let's do one more quick acceleration from the stop. We're gonna come to the stop sign. Here, stop, and we're just gonna try it here. Floor it. Yeah, it is not something like thrilling, like it's gonna just kick you back in your seat, but it's fairly adequate. So now rolling, floor it. Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, it feels super safe, and it's not like jerking fast like you get something in dual motor. I would even say that probably the base Tesla Model 3 is faster than this. Well, it is, right? 0 to 60 times or like 5.6 seconds. One more quick lunge and then we discuss other things. Okay, stopping. Let's go. And there's a car coming. Okay, all right. So the next thing I want to talk about in this car is the brakes. Now I'm actually driving it in sport with full regen on. Now I'm personally a fan of a one pedal driving. I like it. I'm kind of used to it as I'm renting. I don't have an EV myself, but I'm renting them quite often, and I kind of like it. Now actually, let me find another piece of road here. All right, now let's talk about actually steering in this car. And the thing about steering, now that I was in sport mode, it tightens up and it becomes more responsive. That is something I'm going to talk about in video number 2. But let's throw it back into eco mode, is what you're going to pretty much drive it in, or actually normal mode is what feels normal. And the steering lightens up. It's not a significant change, but you do feel it does lighten up a little more. And it's very nicely weighted. I really like the steering. Now the Tesla Model 3 steering is more direct. It's heavier and is more tossable. Like this one has a little bit more of a, turning radius, a higher turning radius. But nevertheless, for the city, it's a very comfortable steering, and you enjoy it a lot. Now, how is it on the faster roads, like twisty roads? I'm going to discuss it again on the video too. So overall, it's a numb steering, but it responds really well. Car responds really well, and I do kind of like it. I actually really like it. So Hyundai made it more like a city/athletic side. So it's not loose, it's not super heavy, it's somewhere in the middle. Next, let's talk about brakes, and then we're gonna come to the stop right here. And brakes overall feel good. The pedal is gradual. It's not mushy soft. It's not a hard pedal. It's very gradual, and it has a good pleasant feeling. The car stops very solidly. It does not have a lot of the up and forward and back motions, so it's very solid. So if I slam on the brakes, it just stops. So it gives you that confidence, and I like about that. So this car does have that confident feeling in actually both acceleration and braking. And now comes an interesting part is well, let's talk about the regen. One thing I want to say quickly, thank you Hyundai for allowing this very cool way of adjusting the regen level. Like I can use these paddle shifters and I can just change it to like completely off, like it's rolling like a regular car, and use my brake pads, or I can go to complete full one pedal driving and it'll just regen to the stop. Like this is just stopping on its own. So I think that's really cool, being able to modulate that. I know a lot of people are going to prefer one pedal driving once you're fully transitioned to EV, but I like that option where some days I may not want to, if I have a headache, for example, I'm more sensitive, I want to turn this regen completely off and be able to modulate the braking myself. The next thing I want to talk about is suspension. So I'm on my favorite Tampa Avenue, and I'm gonna discuss this right now. And here we are on the Tampa Avenue, where we have a lot of bumps, imperfections, to see how the suspension works in this car. And let me tell you this, it's very similar to Model 3, because this is not a Camry type suspension where it's very soft kind of. It is similar to Model 3, but it's a bit more relaxed. Okay, it's a very nice way that it absorbs the bumps. I do feel this gliding motion, so it feels pretty good. So I do like hitting the bumps and imperfections on the road, because it very nicely balances them out, smoothens them, so it's a good feeling. Now if you hit something more bigger, like a bigger bump, a bigger pothole, then you'll hear it like a louder sound. And what you'll notice as well, that it has a shorter travel suspension than, like I said, cars like a Camry, for example, right? Like I expected this car to be something like Camry, I would say, a bit more relaxed, a bit more soft, but nevertheless it is more athletic. It is literally designed to target Tesla Model 3, and that's exactly what it's here to do. That's why it feels similar in many ways, including driving it on the twisty roads that I'm going to discuss. Very effortless acceleration, changing lanes. So now let me discuss this car, the overall feel of this Hyundai Ioniq 6 is like a European car. It is very well planted, heavy but not overly heavy. The biggest advantage of this Ioniq 6 over i4 is about 500 pounds, that this is lighter than the i4 E35, and it feels that. Like this car does not feel overly heavy. This car does not feel like it struggles with its weight. It carries it really well, and because they built this car from ground up, unlike i4, this car really, you feel the low center of gravity. Like you feel that they've taken advantage of that, and it shows really well. So it's very effortlessly, you can drive it running your local errands, like I'm going to all these little streets. Brake is very smooth, man. Like you want to brake in this car. Now compared to Tesla Model 3 as an overall feel, Model 3 is more playful, it's more agile, it's more direct. Like when you start, even if I go to sport mode, most aggressive mode, even in this mode, this car is not going to be as direct, as tossable, as playful, as aggressive. You can watch the Model 3 video, and I said that car feels like it's a magnet riding on another magnet. This has some hints of that, but nevertheless it's geared more towards like a normal car, like give that transition from a regular car to EV, and they've done a fantastic job. I've been saying that about i4 as well, but this I think is even better than i4 in those terms, because it doesn't have extra weight. It has a better battery range. This is a 305. Well, the eDrive 40 is also around the same, right? But it's a much heavier car. Even the eDrive 35, that is like what, 270 miles range, is much heavier than this long range Hyundai Ioniq 6. And man, this car is also very easily tossable, running local errands easy, no problem. The steering, lovely steering. It's like a video game really in the steering. Now like when you drive it at the dealership, you know, as a test drive, all you're gonna see that it's a smooth car. But what the real character of this Ioniq 6, you only can unpack it by spending much more time with this car, including the twisty roads where I'm going to take this car to. Otherwise, again, compared to Tesla Model 3, it has a little bit of a less character when you're just cruising alone. When you're cruising alone on, you know, on your local streets or highway, you just feel it's a nice car until you start putting it to a little bit more stress. And that's exactly what I noticed by spending more time with this car. Now let me go ahead and jump on the highway and we'll see if it's a good highway cruiser. And now we're gonna merge the highway. You know what, let me put it in sport mode. I really like the button here. And yeah, it throws you back a little bit. And man, one thing I love about EVs is that instant torque. It just throws you up. And because this is a rear-wheel drive, you get the nice push feeling with instant torque. So I kind of love this. All right, now let's change the lane. The first thing we want to talk about is sound insulation in this cabin. Is this a quiet cabin, right? Overall, it is a quiet cabin. You don't hear too much of a wind noise. Now, one thing I'll say, it's very similar to Tesla Model 3. The BMW i4 maybe is a little bit on the quieter side. And let's look at our meter. So I am going at 65 exactly. Oh wait, we have to let this guy pass by. All right, now let's look again. I'm going 65. So it's about 65. So it's very similar to Model 3. It's very similar even to i4, but I'll say i4 is a little bit more quiet. But overall, very nice, pleasant cabin to be in. Yes, it is good for long drives. Very comfortable cushioned seats. They're supportive. Yeah, they're nice. And you can put your cruise control, you know, set the speed, set your what is it? Yeah, there you go, autopilot, and you are set. So the car will brake, the car will go. In fact, the cool thing about this smart cruise control, I guess, smart adaptive cruise control, is that you can set different elements of it. You can just set the steering part, okay, and then control speed yourself. Or you can just, of course, do just the speed only, or do both. You can, you know, set it to monitor speed as well, and distance, of course, and then there you have it. So it'll just do it on autopilot. So yes, this car is very easily, you can take it to long trips. Like I can go to San Francisco, and the only problem, of course, you're not getting those Tesla superchargers that you have with Tesla. But that's, I think, is just something that will change with time, where you're gonna have an option to charge this car pretty much on any gas station, any corner. Now, the other part of the test that I like to do is overtaking other cars, and usually that's not a problem with the electric car, and it does it just with absolute ease. Very stable. One thing I want to say, man, like I said, did not expect Hyundai to make such a tremendous job. This car has kind of exceeded my expectations, because I thought it'll be something like, you know, Hyundai Elantra or something, which is not bad as well, but they went for a real athletic, like a BMW 3 Series or the Tesla Model 3 type of a car. Yet they made it a little bit more balanced, I would say, right? Balanced in terms of practicality and athleticism. So it's very practical, and when needed, relaxed car with light steering if needed. It's not on a lighter side, it's actually like a medium weighted. But when you want to play with this car, when you want to toss it around, when you want to have a little bit of fun with it, it has those characters. And how much of a character does it have? I'm going to unpack that next in the video number 2. So this is it basically, guys, for the video number 1. Just wanted to discuss this car in the city streets and highway and give you my thoughts, what I think about this compared to Model 3. I'm going to summarize it in video 2, and I'll tell you which car I would personally buy today. See you later.